Hi guys, I thought I'd come here quickly just to let you know that I won't be able to make my most played arcade games video that I was planning to do today. Obviously we all know about the COVID 69-3312. It's a virus that's named after a millennial style TV YouTube channel. I think it's to make it a lot easier to remember, but unfortunately for older folks like ourselves, these numbers don't stick in our heads very good. But on the news, the only way that I've heard to tackle it is by filling your house up with toilet rolls, which is the reason why I can't make this video today. As you can see, my house is actually filled with toilet rolls. I've also got pasta lined up in the hallway, and I've basically got nowhere to move anymore. So yeah, until I've used all this toilet roll, I won't be able to make any more videos, I don't think. So yeah, just a quick announcement for that. Or can I do it? I'm not too sure. What shall we try? Right, bugger it, let's go. Yes, let's do it. So yeah, in a bit of diversity, I think the best way to tackle it is with talking about the things that we love. And yeah, so arcade games is one of them things. So yeah, as I was growing up, I probably was playing arcades as much as I was playing my consoles. Every weekend, pretty much, we used to go out in my parents' caravan. We used to go touring in it, all over the place, to Blackpool, Skegness, Bridlington, all over the place, basically. Wherever there was a seaside, we was pretty much there in a caravan. And then later on, when I was about 12, 13, maybe 14, we actually had a static caravan in Skegness, which was absolutely brilliant. We used to go there every weekend. And because of that, I was well versed in arcade games. And yeah, so this is a bit of a VR response to Novabug's video that I'm sure a lot of us have all seen by now. But in his video, he says, list the top 4 games that you have played the most. Not your favourite games, but the most played games. And you know what? I've been racking my brains, and I think I've played that many games. It's hard for me to like realise what I've actually played the most of. So I'm going to change the rules a little bit slightly for me, and I'm going to be, I think a couple of them are going to be my most played games, but a couple of them are also going to be ones that I would purposely look out for whatever reason. Just because my top 4 games could be Simpsons, Turtles and the things like that, which probably a lot of us have all talked about as well, but I really couldn't pinpoint that number 1, to be honest. So, top of my list, let's go old school, and one I'm pretty much certain is one of my most played games, and that is Track and Field. It could actually be Hyper Sports. Back then it was a bit of a blur really, they was all very similar to each other, but oh my goodness, what a game. Yes, we used to play games like that at home on the NES. We had Track and Field on there, but it's not quite the same with a controller. When you actually get to the arcade, you just feel that adrenaline rush, and the noises that are happening around you just makes it a bit of a heightened experience really. And yeah, trying it again nowadays is just like a bloody, I feel like I have done a bit of Track and Field, to be honest. It's a proper workout. But yeah, absolutely love that game. Yes, it's very basic, just tapping the buttons like that. But I don't know, there was a lot of competitiveness to it as well. Like, you would try and shave off seconds of your times. The skeet shooting, I absolutely love that. I think that was actually on Hypersport. So, but yeah, just the hurdles and the running and the long jump, trying to get to 45, or in the javelin when you used to try and throw it and then hit the UFO. There was so many little Easter eggs that you could do in the game. But yeah, absolutely love that game. So next up, we're going to go for a game that, yes, it's a genre that we've all played and loved, but I don't hear many people talking about this one, and that one it's another Konami, brawler, like a side-scrolling brawler, 2D, well, it's a bit like an isometric brawler, much in the same as Turtles, The Simpsons, and so on and so forth. And that game is Asterix. So I absolutely used to love that game, and it just wasn't at enough arcades. There was one in Skegness, just a bit of a sports centre in the main bit of Skegness, in the Butlins, and there was a few others. It wasn't impossible to find, But yeah, it just wasn't at a lot of places. There wasn't that many dedicated cabs of it, like the Turtles with the 4 controllers and stuff. It was a lot of the ones that were just retrofitted just to make them into an Asterix arcade, which was fine by me because I used to absolutely love that game. I wasn't a massive fan of Asterix as a kid or anything, but I think I always used to be that kid that used to want to find something new, and when I did, I used to play it until everyone else started playing it, I think. And yeah, no one used to play or at least talk about Asterix, so it was my little guilty, well, not guilty pleasure, because it was great, I used to love it. But it was my little secret that I used to keep to myself. Well, not to keep to myself, because I used to tell everyone. But yeah, Asterix, great little brawler game. Definitely very similar. If you played any of the Konami games, like brawling games before, you pretty much played this. But it just had that little bit of something that made me try and search out for that cab every time I was at a new arcade. And talking about one that is hard to find, but I used to play quite some time. If I ever saw it, I would definitely play it, and as I say, used to search out for it purposely just to play it. And that was Sega's answer to, oh my goodness, Space Ace and Dragon's Lair. So obviously that was something, a cab that I actually never saw growing up. I used to know about it because it was in a lot of magazines and everything like that. And we used to have quite a few ports in the SNES and the NES, but there was nothing the same as the actual arcade. And it was a bit of a mystery to me. I never saw it or anything like that. And this cab that I'm going to talk about is very similar to that cab, but I never really had the connection to it or anything. This was my Dragon's Lair, to be honest. And that is Time Traveler by Sega. And I'm going to put somewhere along here, I'm going to put a little video of what it is, because I imagine not many people know what it is, but I remember Blackpool, it used to be in one of the piers, and I used to try and I used to make a beeline for this cabinet as the first cabinet I used to play when I used to get to Blackpool, because it was so special. So Dragon's Lair, it was, so basically you didn't really have much control on it. It was just basically a video that played out that you used to try and go movie directions to progress through the story, and Time Traveler was very much like that. Very basic compared to Dragon's Lair, but the thing that made it special was the fact that it was a hologram and you had to play this cabinet to actually experience it. So it was quite a big bulky thing, big white thing, and it used to project like a little video of like cowboys and stuff like that, and I used to be mesmerized by it by a kid, and I think it was probably one of the first games that I played for probably 50p. But yeah, I can remember there was definitely one in Blackpool on the pier, like I say, because I also remember going to it and it wasn't there, and I was like, oh my goodness, what has happened? And I don't know if anyone remembers the pier that was on, but it actually got relegated to like this, like the end of the pier, same place, but it was like the end bit of the arcade towards the end of the start of the pier, sorry. And it was like a little narrow corridor, and it was like just a row of like the old arcade machines, and that got relegated there for quite some time, and then it just disappeared. And I would love to see one of them again. It's something, like I say, you can't replicate. Very basic gameplay, even more so than like Dragon's Lair, like I said. But it was a cabinet that was special. I mean, the image was like this big, and the cabinet was flipping huge. But I know that you can actually get that on a DVD to play it at home, but it's not quite the same. I think it would probably spoil the game for me. And lastly, number 4, the game I probably have played the most throughout being a kid and getting older. And as I say, I was a 90s kid, arcade kid mainly, so Street Fighters and everything like that. I absolutely loved that. In fact, a bit of a omission, I could have maybe have put Killer Instinct as one of my top games, and I don't know why I missed that one, to be honest. But above that, my most played game was Point Blank. A lot of the arcade games I used to have, I used to play a bit, but I used to play more of them at home. on my console, on my PlayStation and stuff like that. So I didn't want to waste a lot of my money playing games that I could play at home, really. And I think that was pretty much the downfall of arcade, really, because the arcade experience was getting brought to home. But some things you couldn't just do. Point Blank was one of them. That and Time Crisis, but Point Blank was my game. It was all colourful, bright and exciting, and whereas Time Crisis, it was more of a story to follow, Point Blank was, you had to achieve getting like your goals, like getting your high scores and trying to put your times down, trying to shoot that leaf as quick as you can with one bullet. Oh my goodness, amazing. Yeah, I was quite competitive as a kid, but what made it special for being at the arcade was the recoil. You couldn't, the G-Con 45 was a good replica of that gun, but it just didn't recoil. It felt so amazing. The sounds, the vibrations coming through your hand, everything just made that arcade cab special. The graphics on the side, again, all the artwork is what makes arcade special. It's just a visual feast. It's not just the gameplays. I mean, I think as collectors, we all know that, really. And that's why we've got our collections as we do, because we just love seeing that box artwork. But arcades are very much similar to that, and it's very much lost nowadays. Now that there's big, beastie, ugly things, whereas before there was just the right size, just personal for yourself. But yeah, that was my most played, or at least coveted games that I wanted to play every time I was at an arcade. I would at least try and find all 4 of them machines every time I was at an arcade. But yeah, I'd love to see what your list is, because I know not everyone's done it. Even if you've not been to the arcade much, I mean, it would be good just to see what games you're even playing now. So yeah, I hope everyone's keeping safe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.